Nobody has done more during Donald Trump's presidency to expose his clear cognitive and physical decline than Donald Trump. The mainstream press certainly hasn't. They haven't asked nearly enough questions about the shady visits to Walter Reed, the makeup covering up his hand, and his inability to talk at times. But Donald Trump has surely brought attention to it, so much so that now a former White House doctor is speaking out and breaking his silence on the clear health crisis that Donald Trump is dealing with. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into what this former White House doctor had to say, especially in light of comments that Donald Trump has made about an MRI, we got to start with those comments, both from Trump and Carolyn Leavitt's defense.
That we denuclearize.
Mr. President, could you tell us why you needed to get an MRI? I understand that the results were good, but what was it for?
Because it's part of my physical. Getting an MRI is very standard. Well, you think I shouldn't have it? Other people got it.
Typically, an MRI
I had an MRI.
part of your body.
Here's what the story is. I had an MRI. The doctor said it was the best result he has ever seen as a doctor. That's it. But I had an MRI as part of my standard yearly, or I think they do it every 2 years, but I have the physical every year, and the result was outstanding.
Was it your brain?
Did you
or
know?
your heart,
I have no idea what they analyzed, but whatever they analyzed it well, and they said that I had as good a result as they've ever seen. Now, the other thing I took, as you know, very advanced test on mental acuity, because I think a president should have to do that. And as you probably heard, I aced it. I got a perfect score. I got the highest score. I got a perfect score. And the only reason I tell you that is it's one subject, unlike Biden and others, that you can take off your plate.
The question on nuclear testing, just being very specific.
You recently said you'd check with President Trump about why he needed to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
It is almost laughable that they think that they can play look over their politics with everything that is happening in this administration. Donald Trump really does believe that he can shift your focus or tell you not to care about an issue. It was only a few nights ago where Trump literally wrote on Truth Social, "Don't look into Donald," as it relates to his Epstein crisis. "I have a country to run." But Trump isn't running the country. He's playing opera music at the White House, and he's eating Big Macs, and he's golfing with Lindsey Graham. He's not actually running things, so we should know if the guy who is making wild decisions is doing it because his brain is broken or not. And again, the person who's brought the most attention to this, besides Trump and Leavitt trying to deflect, is Trump actually talking about his health, like he did right here when he was caught saying what he thinks about heaven. Trump 79 crashes wedding to ramble about heaven. Donald Trump crashed a wedding taking place at his Mar-a-Lago resort on Friday to lecture the happy couple on how he might connive his way through the pearly gates. While speaking with the bride and groom, Trump became distracted when he saw right-wing radio host Eric Matakis and began shouting that the man would be his ticket into heaven. "He's going to get me into heaven," Trump said, shaking Matakis' hand. The prominent Trump supporter and children's book author replied, "I want to talk to him about getting into heaven, but not here, not here." So I don't really know if the grifter children's book author is necessarily the most Christ-like man that Donald Trump could talk to about getting him into heaven, but this fascination that Trump has had with the afterlife, or certainly leaving a legacy lately, I think should be enough for the media to start asking him questions about whether or not he thinks he's going to make an early exit, if those Big Macs are finally going to catch up to him. But think about it. Trump was obsessed with the Nobel Peace Prize. He wants to name a ballroom after himself. He's constantly talking about heaven and blurting out the fact that he's getting medical screenings And of course, Trump says that they've gone, quite frankly, oh so well, and I have the best brain, but I think we can tell that the brain's not doing so well when he's talking about the problems with his brain. Previously, of course, hidden from the public. And it was that effort to cover up Trump's visit to Walter Reed that made a former White House doctor come forward, speak out, break his silence, and expose what the mainstream media really just won't. Ex-White House doctor cast doubt on Trump's MRI claims. While Donald Trump boasted about his perfect MRI scan last month, which his aides brushed off as part of a routine checkup, a former White House doctor has now cast doubt on that assessment. White House physician Sean Barbabella described Trump's second medical evaluation this year as a scheduled follow-up that included advanced imaging. Of course, Carolyn Leavitt later said she didn't know what imaging took place, but days later, Trump revealed that he underwent an MRI scan during a visit to Walter Reed, calling it perfect. But Jerry Coleman, the White House physician to former President Barack Obama, questioned the more than 3 hours the 79-year-old president spent at Walter Reed when the evaluation outside of the MRI should have taken less than 15 minutes. It's about an 8-minute helicopter ride from the South Lawn to Walter Reed, so we know that he at least had 4 hours available to undergo medical care, Coleman told The Hill. There's a disconnect there. The Independent has contacted the White House for comment. Coleman added that going to Walter Reed for scans wasn't usual. Most any procedure scope I had the capabilities there at the White House. The only thing I couldn't, that I'd have to go to Walter Reed for, is advanced imaging, he told the outlet. Trump is the oldest person elected president in the United States, and Barbabella has described him as being in excellent health over the years. Before heading to the Military Medical Center, Trump called the medical visit a semi-annual physical. It wasn't until his recent trip to Asia that the president revealed more details about the medical exam, and of course adding last night that the MRI was perfect. The White House physician didn't mention the test in his October memo, and as lawmakers questioned Trump's mental fitness, the Axios Ipsos American Health Index from June found that 74% of Americans think that there should be a legal requirement for any current president to share their health records. So former White House doctors are now coming out and asking questions that we should have already had answers to about what this advanced imaging is. And as Donald Trump continues to speak about this MRI like he did Friday, I think we should know to what extent was it covering his brain, his body, where there are issues that led to this scan happening. What is going on? We deserve answers to all of those questions. We deserve transparency. And I think Donald Trump continuing to bring up the MRI should reveal to us all that there's clearly something deeper there. And I've been talking about this for a while, the weakness of Donald Trump that is present, not just cognitively or physically, but politically. Right now, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie breaking with him. You have Republican media figures turning on him. This Epstein vote is going to come to the floor of the House this week. You don't think Donald Trump is in crisis? He absolutely is. This is a weak moment for Trump that Democrats absolutely need to capitalize on, doing it not just in fighting back in the messaging, but winning real victories. And that is something that Wes Moore is doing right now, who has mocked Donald Trump's inability to walk through the streets of Baltimore before. But now he's hitting back at Donald Trump and his failed plans to rig this upcoming election. And you're going to want to hear this breaking news.
No, because I think I'm not going to stand for the blatant hypocrisy. Because, and the point that I was making, when people want to come bring smoke to Maryland, because we're saying that we want fair maps, but you sit on your hands and sit quiet and have nothing to say about Ohio, or have nothing to say about Missouri, or nothing to say about Texas. Literally, you are just parroting Donald Trump's talking points. And you know, and here's the thing. If you look at the quest for fair maps inside of the state of Maryland, it's actually a bipartisan push. We've had Republicans just yesterday come out and say they want to introduce legislation around fair maps. And so that is why I ordered a bipartisan redistricting advisory committee that is now going to actually listen to people, because our maps should not be decided in smoke-filled rooms, and definitely should not be decided because Donald Trump wants to call state legislatures and say, I need you to find me additional congressional seats. That's not how democracy should work. So Maryland will go through Maryland's process in a bipartisan fashion, and we will ensure, the work of our commission will ensure, that we will have fair maps come next November.
But Governor, the commission is bipartisan, but you have had some opposition from people in your own party. Democrat Bill Ferguson, the Maryland Senate president, has come out in the past month publicly and privately castigating efforts to do this, to engage in redistricting. He said the legal risks are too great for what is an uncertain outcome. What do you have to say to some of the concerns that efforts to redistrict are becoming a political litmus test to be involved in the conversation when it comes to looking ahead to the 2028 Democratic presidential primary?
Well, listen, I respect Bill Ferguson. I just could not disagree with him more on these legal risks. And also, it's not just me. It's also constitutional lawyers. It's also people like our Attorney General and our former Attorney General. It's also people like Jamie Raskin, who have also put out a public letter saying that there is an overestimation about what we consider to be the downside legal risk on this. And by asking the people, by actually saying that we want the people's input to make sure we have fair maps, I never find defending democracy to be a risky proposition. So where I differ on this is, I think this moment requires fight. I think this moment requires urgency. I think this moment requires us stepping up and standing up and saying that Donald Trump should not be the one to determine what our democracy looks like. That actually is something that the people should determine. And we've had national redistricting efforts, and I think Congress actually needs to take the larger role in this. But do you know who voted against national redistricting efforts before? Andy Harris, the person who's now saying that what we're doing is a sham. And so again, the hypocrisy is just astounding. And it's just, and I'm not here for it. And the people of Maryland, we're going to make sure that I'm not going to listen to Donald Trump. And frankly, I'm not going to listen to national Democrats on that as well. I'm going to listen to my people. And the people of Maryland are going to make sure that we have fair maps come next November.
Governor, let's switch gears and talk about immigration. On Tuesday, WMAR in Baltimore reported that contract bids show ICE planning to expand operations in Maryland during immigration shutdown. And I'm wondering, how are you in the state of Maryland planning to fight back against this planned increase in ICE agents?
Yeah. I mean, this issue is the absurdity and the lack of humanity in the way that this issue is even being approached is just staggering. And I think we're seeing that across states all around the country. And for me, immigration is a very personal issue. I come from a family of immigrants. And public safety is something that I take very, very seriously. We have seen how Maryland has had amongst the fastest drops in violent crime anywhere in the United States of America because we take violent crime, accountability, and prosecution for it very, very seriously.
Democrats, please take this opportunity to show how weak Donald Trump is, not just physically or cognitively, but politically. We need to hammer that point home. We are certainly going to on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. You can also follow the show and follow me at JD Cocchiarella on Instagram. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.